Lots of controversy this morning over reports that New York State is evaluating a convicted rapist for a heart transplant. 55-year-old Kenneth Pike, there he is, serving up to 40 years for raping a 13-year-old back in 1996. And if the state goes along with the surgery, taxpayers will be footing the bill, and the cost could be as high as $800,000, maybe more. Tamara Holder is a criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor. She joins us along with Chip Merlin, who is a trial attorney. Good to see you both. Tamara, you've written about this, haven't you?
Yeah, I actually had a client who was released from prison last year by Governor Quinn because she was dying of cancer and not getting treatment within the prison. This is a major problem. If you look at just this one story, $800,000 for an implant, or I'm sorry, a heart transplant, there's a bigger issue here. It's that inmates are not getting the health care that they need. Whether or not there's a right, there's also a duty to provide that health care, and that is what the hospitals within the prisons that are private contractors are not doing. They are not performing the duty.
You know, Chip, the question, though, is the quality of care. Now, in 1976, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on a similar issue, and they said prisoners have a right to adequate medical care. Isn't a heart transplant well beyond adequate in the meaning of that word?
Yeah, a lot of people are pretty outraged by this, and they would almost suggest to you that this shows that crime pays, because those people that are convicted, in this case a convicted rapist, is getting better treatment with respect to what he gets just because he's in a state prison than a law-abiding citizen who might be poor, that doesn't have access to the medical community, can't get on the list, and then can't even afford to have this heart transplant. In this case, taxpayers are paying for a very expensive procedure.
Tamara, let's assume for the sake of this discussion that he had no health insurance before he was committing crimes and probably didn't have the money to pay for a heart transplant. He commits a heinous crime, and in doing so, he forfeits a lot of his rights. But suddenly, because he's incarcerated, he profits with a right he didn't have before, and that's a transplant. That seems wrong, doesn't it?
No, it's not wrong, but the bigger issue is, do we have a duty to provide health care to everybody? Because if you do look at it, people who go to prison do get health care, whereas the people who are not in prison, they cannot afford it. But they are not getting the health care that they need. We're talking about an $8 million settlement in Illinois for just a few people who had hepatitis C and were not being treated. In California, the panel required that the inmate population be reduced because one inmate was dying a week in California. Yeah. This is ridiculous.
Chip, isn't this guy actually gaining a right he probably never had before and thereby profiting from his heinous crime?
Yeah, there is no right for law-abiding citizens to have this type of treatment afforded to them. And there has been some concern expressed that regarding these donor cards that a lot of us have and we sign up for all the time, that if we start allowing convicted felons like a rapist to get organs, a lot of people are going to stop signing up for this program.
Yeah, you know, Tamara, I'll let you have the final word on this, but, you know, there are people out there in desperate need, law-abiding citizens in desperate need of a heart to live, to survive. They may be watching right now. I mean, what would you say to them?
Well, I think that that's an issue that we need to address, is the health care that we're providing within our system or within the prison system reasonable. You know, maybe a transplant is not reasonable. However, was there some kind of preventative care that could have been addressed beforehand? This person didn't just wake up one day and need this heart transplant. They probably ignored an issue for many, many years within that prison system, and that's the problem.
Tamara Holder, Chip Merlin, thank you both for being with us. Thank you.